Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges. And subscribe to us on YouTube. And everywhere else.
And send us money.
Oh, yeah, we like that.
I mean, you don't have to, but, you know, we do like money.
Yeah, send it to us, actually. Yeah, we do mean it.
Yeah, no, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And make sure you read that scoring criteria. But if you send money, you don't have to.
No, they have to.
Not if they send money.
Yes, they do.
They can do whatever they want.
In fact, if they have more money, they have more time to read the criteria.
Okay. I'll read it to you if you pay me.
That's true. You can. Dan will do a reading service. He'll even read it in a sexy voice if you ask. Save that for the paid, though.
That's
can't,
true. I
don't...
almost gave a preview.
No. This is how we make our money.
Yes.
We've been doing this for free for 3 years, almost 4 years. We got to start making money off of this. So now we're just going to tell people, give us your bank account number. What am I doing here? Dan, it's good to be back at our regular scheduled time. Because I was thinking as I was driving over, I was like, didn't I just come here? And I'm like, yeah, I did actually just come here to record. It was like 3 days ago. Well, here we are again. We are back. And this time a little more timely.
Yes.
Which is a good thing because it was a bigger event.
Bigger event.
A little bit bigger than that last fight night at Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, that was a long one.
That was. There's much fewer rounds in this one because it was a much, let's say, action-packed UFC 295 at Madison Square Garden in New York. Dan, you did not get yourself a ticket. It didn't reach your price range.
I don't know if it did. I knew
Eventually you gave up.
I got a offer to work,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't even bother looking because I knew if I found something, I'd regret it.
Fair enough.
I have no idea how low it got.
I think if you did go, you would have had a good time, though. I think you may not have actually regretted much. I don't know what the price was. If you paid like $400, yeah, you probably still wouldn't have been happy. But yeah, it was a good time, man. I was obviously there.
Well, it's always fun to go to an event.
Sure, but this was a particularly fun one because it basically all the last five fights, all the main card, finish, all knockouts, dude. Nothing past late in the second round.
Yeah,
I believe is as far as it got.
Knockouts are cool. I mean,
they're kind of fun.
Yeah, they're not subs,
a lot of people like them,
but they're not. I mean,
well, you got one sub in there. It was on the prelims.
We did.
Yeah, 8 finishes, my friend. We'll get to the finishes, of course, later. But yeah, it was nice to go personally.
Yeah,
I had my now traditional front row seat for anytime it's around here. They tend to put the New York Post up in the front row, which is good for my coverage. And
just rub it in.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Just rub it in.
I will. It was wonderful, and you missed out.
All the people we talk about sit front row. You sit front row. Mm-hmm. Dan's got to spend $500 to sit in the last row.
Well, Dan should have made different life choices.
That is disappointing. I should be credentialed by the UFC.
You know, if you'd been a fighter by now, you probably would have been in the cage.
Yeah, that's not as fun. You don't get to watch when you're in there. I'm sure when you're in there, it's completely like.
I feel like you would have had a lot of fun, like separating someone from their consciousness or omoplata.
No, to be honest, no.
No?
Omoplata, yeah, I'd have a lot of fun.
Yeah, there you go.
If I omoplata someone, I'm gonna dance on your grave till the end of time.
All right.
So.
Sounds almost more like a punishment for you than a celebration. Eventually, you'll get really tired of it. I mean, we're going off the rails here.
I will never get tired of it. They released a list of all the subs, all the chokes. Actually, it wasn't all the subs.
All the chokes. 40 ever in the history of the world?
In the history of 30 years of the UFC.
Oh, the UFC. Okay.
There's like 535 rear naked chokes.
Oh, this was a few months back, right? I kind of remember.
Well, yeah, but
it
resurfaced today.
Oh, it did. Okay.
So that's why it's fresh in my mind.
I see.
So only 2 Peruvian neckties. I'm like, oh.
In the UFC,
yeah, someone should change that.
There's always time.
Sign Charlie Brenneman back.
When I think of Peruvian necktie, the first one I actually think of was Pat Curran hit one in Bellator back in when they were doing the tournaments during the Bjorn Rebney Mexico days.
Quick news on Bellator: Usman Nurmagomedov 6-month suspension.
That's right, but they're not stripping of the belt.
Okay.
They're saying it was not I don't know. They basically just made some sort of reason and say, well, we don't have to do that. We'll just rebook the fight.
Yeah, well, they said he has a therapeutic use. He just didn't submit it.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
Whoops-a-doodle. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's not the same thing as, getting anabolic steroids in your system and popping for that. But come on, guys, get it together. Fill out the paperwork right. Anyway, yeah, before we get into, the rounds and everything, and I should even note, by the way, on a judging note, I did get to say a nice little hello to a couple judges that came over to the table where I was sitting. Saw Sal D'Amato. Or I believe I'm sorry. My mistake. It's Sal D'Amato.
Sal D'Amato.
Sal D'Amato.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me that, but Bruce Buffer said it.
Okay.
So it's got to be true. I saw Eric Colin.
Yep.
And then Brian Miner came over as well.
Okay.
So it was nice to see. I see those visuals. Talked to Mark Ratner for a little bit too.
All right.
And
you didn't see Derek clearly?
I could see him pretty clearly.
Okay.
But he did not come over. I saw Mike Beltran walk by one time. Said looking good.
Nice.
Obviously, he had a health situation over the last year, but he's certainly looking like his big buff self once again.
All right.
The stash is still impressive.
Yeah.
And tucked in. It's work.
Got to tuck it in.
Yeah, got a good professional look, of course. I think it's more form over or function over form.
I wonder if he's ever choked anybody out with that thing in training. You know what? Instead of using your lapel, I'm going to use my mustache.
I mean, he was an undercover cop for a while too, so he could have very easily used it in real life.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Can't confirm or deny. Yeah, we can, obviously there's a bunch of business coming off of this because we had 2 title fights. Alex Pereira, 2-division champion.
Yeah.
Did it in 2 years and 5 days from the day he showed up at the UFC. Conor did it in 3.5 years. Just destroyed Conor in that. This is the craziest rise to this point to be able to get this accomplishment done in UFC history. How impressed are you with Pereira's short UFC career?
Well, it's definitely impressive, but it's not like he wasn't a fighter before this.
Of course.
So, I mean, it's kind of, he was rushed along. Light heavyweight has been in shambles. So, I mean, you can only fight who's in front of you. So I can't really badmouth that too much. But
you almost sound like you're downplaying this here, sir. He walked in and he beat the guy who was the man at middleweight for several years. Now I know they have history together, but he still beat him one time. He managed to lose,
but he beat him twice before that.
I understand that.
So it wasn't new to him.
But what was new to him? Beating former champion Jan Blachowicz and former champion who realistically was still considered the number 1 at 205, Jiri Prochazka. It's not like he took some easy roads or took advantage of like maybe a weak champion here or there or something like that. Like he beat the number 1 guy each time.
He didn't beat John Jones.
John Jones left.
He did, but it's
John stopped fighting by the time he made his UFC debut.
After John Jones left, light heavyweight wasn't the same. It wasn't that used to be a super tough division, and it kind of got depleted.
But at what point do you just accept that we've now have to move on and this is what we have at 205?
But that's what I'm saying. Is it that impressive that he's beating these guys? I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's as impressive as Conor's run. Him beating Eddie Alvarez was one of the most impressive fights I've ever seen.
That one fight was absolutely sublime. You can never take that from Conor. I think that's significantly more impressive than what he did to Jose Aldo, because what happened against Jose Aldo was more or less like, hey, you caught him in that moment. It's nothing. There's nothing lucky about it, but nothing happened in that fight other than that. So it's like we don't really know who was better. We know who was better that night. We know who was better between Conor and Eddie Alvarez. And I actually thought Eddie was going to win that fight. So very, very wrong. Tons of egg on my face on that one. You're not wrong. Having said that, I personally, and you made your thoughts clear, I am very impressed because
it's not that I'm not impressed. It's just I'm not over the moon about it.
I think it's amazing, honestly, because you said say what you want. Like he had another combat sports career before this. Okay, fair enough. So did everyone else who's ever fought and tried to get both those titles, or really any of those titles. No one else has done that. No one ever had the middleweight and light heavyweight titles won in their career. Anderson Silva should have been able to do it if he felt like it. I will defend that to my death.
I mean,
if he wanted to, he could have been both. He could have been the champ. He would have been the first champ, really. He just didn't feel like it.
Okay.
I have no problem saying that. But I think this was really impressive. To walk in there, and realistically, when he made his UFC debut, I did not expect him to make much of it. I saw, I don't know if I said this to myself or anything like that, but I saw a kind of like Gokhan Saki, he came in, and he looked okay, and then he didn't look okay. Obviously, he was a little undersized for 205, but I thought this was going to be a case of like, well, this guy's just not going to be ready for MMA fights. And he came in there, and he took care of business. He's shown that he's able to get himself out of bad situations in grappling, avoid the worst of stuff, which is about as much as he really needs. He needs to be able to get up to his feet and get out of stuff. Still could work on that. Fair enough.
I mean, Dan Henderson was a double champ at middleweight and light heavyweight.
That is in Pride. We're only talking about UFC
okay.
at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely fair. Hendo is amazing. Hendo is a GOAT. He's in the conversation. He's not the GOAT, but I'm saying he's in that like all-timer level for me, and I don't think he gets enough respect. So I'll absolutely add respect to Dan Henderson's name. He deserves it. But we're just talking about UFC here.
All right.
So fair enough. I mean, if we want to go champs in other divisions, then we've got to talk about, Dave Branch did it in World Series of Fighting in those divisions. Do we want to keep going in every promotion? I don't think we can do that, but
Dave Branch, good guy.
He had his time. No longer has his time in the UFC. Jersey guy. New Jersey guy.
Jersey guy for sure.
School
in Hoboken.
That's right. But yeah, I'm obviously significantly more impressed with Alex Pereira than you are. I can't wait to see what more he can do, because I still see him being able to defend this belt a couple times.
Yeah, in this division, I do think so. Yeah, for sure. If I'm being honest, I mean, if John Jones is like, I'm going back to 205. John Jones,
he will not go back to 205.
Just saying, if he did,
not gonna happen.
Just saying, if he did.
Fair enough.
Also, BJ 2-time champ.
John Jones, you and I think both believe lost to Dominic Reyes. By the way,
I don't believe that he lost.
You don't believe that?
No,
I do. And Dominic Reyes, you know who he lost to? Jiri Prochazka. And you know who Jiri Prochazka lost to? Alex Pereira. Boom. Anyway.
Yeah, we've proven MMA math works.
Look, I'm just talking about the lineality of the
Guess Matt Hamill's going to win.
Matt Hamill was the greatest fighter of all time on the night of December, 10th, 2009.
Couldn't tell you.
Something like that. Anyway, speaking of Jiri, though, do you think he'll ever be champion again, UFC?
Could be.
Could be. Cool.
I mean, he's I don't know if he ever will be, but he's got the capabilities to be, for sure.
Well, that's the most wishy-washy answer possible. Good job.
No, it's not like I think he'll be in that.
Do you believe he will be?
Forever.
Put it that way. Do you if you were to say I have to put money on one side or the other, is he gonna be or not?
I would say yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How? I don't know how.
No, that's fine. You don't need to know that.
But
it's just where you think the wind can blow in his career.
He's a very high variance fighter.
Well, he's kind of psycho in there.
Yeah.
He's wild. He's chaos.
You just don't know what could happen.
I mean, he in the second. First off, he won the first round.
Yeah.
On the scorecards.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had it the other way.
So did I.
I thought the leg kicks were significantly better.
Leg kicks were the reason.
And I think we saw that those did add up. But even at the time, I was like, I didn't score. So from my cage side seat, I made sure not to actually score rounds.
Okay.
I don't think it's fair to, because I'm doing other jobs. I'm trying to write. I'm trying to, do this other stuff. I've got much more obstructed views than the judges do, because I'm about 10 feet away from the cage, whereas they're, 1 foot.
Apparently, maybe you'll be sitting on the catwalk next time. You can probably request that, and they'll be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
No, thank you. That's a little farther away. I don't want to do that. I've done that before.
They can put you there.
No, they can. And in fact, to my colleagues I was with, their seats were up there.
No, that's not.
And I could have traded with them, but I didn't want.
That's not what I meant by the catwalk. I mean the catwalk where everyone, the cameramans walk.
Oh, I thought you meant like up on the Chase Bridge at the Garden.
No.
Okay.
But you just ask for that, and they'll put you there.
I don't think that's true.
They probably
I think that's a lie.
They give all the photographers that spot. Then you got to fight a judge.
Yeah, but the photographers, see, if you're not credentialed for photography, you're not allowed to go to these places, and you can get your credential. That's true.
Well, maybe they should get their credentials revoked.
But they don't, because they're doing their job.
They get interfered. They interfere.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is the UFC gives zero Fs.
Well,
do not care.
I should be a photographer then.
I'll go the other way from you then. I actually do not think he's going to get there at some point. I think he's going to stick around. I think he's going to be fun as heck. I think he could even fight for the title again. Every time he fights, it's fun.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to watch him again, but I have my doubts that he'll actually wear the belt again. I just don't see it.
I think he's just going to be around too long to not, and he's so crazy that
I don't know.
It just could happen.
He's got a lot of fights under his belt already, dude.
But that's all right. I'm not saying he's going to stick around fighting forever. I'm saying as long as he's at the top of light heavyweight.
Oh, for sure. He's in that. He's in the mix, as Dana likes to say, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I should also point out, we got to talk about the finish real quick of this one, because it wasn't the most popular finish when it happened real time.
Mm-hmm.
Rogan, of course, asks about it because he's always the first one to ask, hey, what did you think about that stoppage? At least he kind of left it and didn't ask about it with Pereira. Let him have the moment. It was a bigger moment than that. But he asked Jiri, Jiri says, no, I was out. It was a good
Mhm.
call. And then he puts out a video later on, and he says, and I quote, Mark Goddard was right.
Well,
How about
Mark
that?
Goddard is fantastic.
How about that? You just don't see that, though, very often, where they make a point to call out and say the referee did a good job. He didn't need to do it.
He didn't need to.
But he did.
I mean,
and it was the right thing.
So more fighters should watch their split losses and go, you know what? Those judges got it right.
Yeah, actually, what was it? I think it was Steve Urseg. When he got, it was one of the fighters who won a decision. I can't remember who. But one of them said, I didn't think I wasn't really sure about the scoring, which way it went, but good job on the judges.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Little bit of respect being shown to the officials in New York. Look at that. How about that? All right, moving on. We got to get to the interim heavyweight title fight. Our new interim champion, Tom Aspinall. Excuse me. I double checked with him when I talked to him the other day. I said, is it Al or All? He said All. So, Aspinall. Which is the way I tend to say it, and then sometimes I screw up, and in my head I'm like, well, hold up, what is it supposed to be? Now I have definitive, so I know that. But anyway, he is now the interim heavyweight champion. Seems to me he will eventually be elevated to the heavyweight champion status when John Jones and Stipe Miocic eventually fight and neither one of them ever fights again. That's how I see it happen. Now he's pleading for John Jones to
Stipe's not fighting.
That's right. You don't believe that.
It's just never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would work out fine for Tom because I wouldn't call it pleading, but he was definitely making it very clear to John. He's like, I really think we should fight. Give me my dream fight.
There is no reason they would make an interim champion if they weren't going to unify it.
Not true.
So that is just completely stupid that they're going to try to still do the Stipe fight.
But it's not. That's not true. There is definitely a reason for them to do it because because they don't want to have vacant belts anymore. So now they've got someone to step up immediately when that belt gets vacated. That's how it works.
That's just stupid.
I'm not saying it's not stupid, but what I'm saying is that's their reason.
That's not a good reason.
No, it's not.
It's not valid.
It is so not valid. And also, it's the reason.
And it's also not valid to believe Stipe will fight.
The question I have for you, though, if for some reason Aspinall gets his way, does get to fight John Jones next year, who you picking?
John Jones.
John Jones
Until John Jones is not John Jones. Till someone proves that he can actually be beat.
Dominic Reyes, excuse me.
He didn't win, though.
No, but he proves he can.
He didn't prove anything. He lost.
He proved it's possible, my friend.
No, he didn't, because he didn't win. It's not possible.
Sir.
Until someone goes out there, hands John Jones his first loss.
Matt Hamill.
That wasn't a disqualification.
John Jones.
Until it wasn't a disqualification.
John Jones beat himself several times. He has so many losses to John Jones.
Not in the cage, though. He has a couple no contests.
The one no contest. Just the one no contest. That's kind of beating himself. I think that's fair to say. I think we can call it that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it.
And also, I'm going to say Dominic Reyes got an experimental John Jones. He was like, I'm bored. I'm not going to just go out there and whoop on this guy.
But it's also like the second or third time he did it in a row. So you know what?
He was bored
with
the
him.
division.
Shame on him.
Bored with the division.
That's his own fault.
John Jones is the GOAT. Until he gets beat, it's not going to change.
I'm going the other way again. I'm saying Tom Aspinall beats John Jones if they fight next year.
You're free to make a prediction, but I would never pick him.
That's fine.
It's insane. I mean,
fine.
John Jones is the top heavyweight in MMA, period.
Don't disagree. And also,
would smash Francis. Don't know what's going to happen with Tom Aspinall.
I mean, at this point, Francis Ngannou, I don't even know when he's coming back. So
never. He's a boxer.
Yeah, he's a boxer.
And
a very well compensated one, I'm sure.
This is the fight I want to see: is Tom Aspinall and John Jones. It's a
great fight. It's a great
way
fight.
More interesting than John Jones and Stipe. I agree completely.
Doesn't matter. It's what Dana wants. It's probably the only thing they can get John to do, or Stipe.
Well, that's what happens when you're the GOAT. You get to do what you want.
Yeah, there you go. As far as Sergey Pavlovich, the man on the other end of Tom Aspinall's heavy hands, what are you gonna do with him next? What should he be? What should we do with this guy?
He could fight Stipe.
Let's imagine for a second that Stipe may not have interest in taking this fight. Who else would you have him go against?
Who hasn't he fought yet? Has he fought Blades yet?
I thought he did. I thought he beat Curtis Blades.
Because if he hasn't,
am I wrong?
Yeah, he did. He beat him already.
Yeah.
So we don't got to do that one.
No.
We can do. That actually leaves us on a Cyril Gane.
I was gonna say Cyril Gane would be a good one. I like that guy coming off a championship loss, going against someone who else is at the top of the division coming off a win. That's pretty normal booking for the UFC traditionally. I think it's fair.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm not going to think about, hey, would he take the fight or not? Someone has to fight this guy. There's been a lot of Tom Aspinall was saying he knows a lot of people who turn down the fight.
Well, no one wants to get hit in the head.
No, it's not fun.
So
I don't like getting hit in the head by like regular people, and he's a lot larger and heavier hitting a ringer.
Yeah,
that's a word.
I think you got to make it Khan. Khan's the only choice.
I like that. I'm with you. We've been on opposite ends of every one of these. I'm totally with you here. I think this is good. Mm-hmm. If not Stipe, of course.
Yeah, fight Stipe. I mean, if he wants to fight that bad,
I don't think he does.
Yeah, he hasn't fought in half a decade.
Almost 2 years.
Like long.
Is it a little more than 2 years at this point? I can't remember.
It's over 3.
It's it is almost 2. It's been like a year and a half
since Stipe fought.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Yeah, more than 2 years. You're right. 2.5 years.
I think it's like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. You're right. Anyway, UFC 295 unanimity report, my friend.
I'm not hating on Stipe.
We're gonna get to contested rounds.
I like Stipe.
You don't sound like it, dude.
I like Stipe.
You've taken every chance to bash him.
I'm not bashing anything. I'm not bashing anything. I'm just saying his fighting career is over. And these fights that they're booking just does no interest to me.
That's fair.
So
you're still going to be force-fed this at some point. You don't have to like it. You don't even. Right. I mean, you do have to watch it. We do this whole show thing where we talk about this stuff. So you have to watch that.
No, I will watch it because it will be against John Jones, unfortunately. And John's will have a showcase performance like normal, and that'll be that.
Sir, the unanimity report. We got to move on with this. 12 out of 17 rounds unanimous, which maybe on the surface, I don't know if you know math very well, maybe not look as good because they missed 5 out of 17, but it's actually 70.6%. This is like right on average, totally normal.
Oh yeah, it's close.
And one of these 5 was an 8-9 split. So realistically, we're only disagreeing 4 times out of 17 on the round winner. This was perfectly fine night. Having said that, we've got some interesting rounds to talk about here.
Sure.
Let's start with the one that caused a draw, or led to a draw, I should say, right? And that would be in the Vyacheslav Barshov, right? It's Barshov? Yeah, but that's what it looks like. And then Anik says it like the other way. He says Barshov, I think.
I wasn't paying attention to the name pronunciation.
See, I was, because it threw me off. Because the whole time, I mean, I'm cage side, I'm not hearing any of them in the commentary. So then I go home and watch this round. For the show purposes, of course. And I'm pretty sure they said Barshov. But anyway, Vyacheslav Barshov and Nazim Sadikov, the Brooklynite from Azerbaijan, fought to a majority draw, 2 28-28s and a 29-28. So we're talking about the split in round 2 that led to our draw.
I got an idea.
Yeah, what's your idea?
Because I just want to bring it up. I think we should get rid of the majority draw, and it should be a minority victory. Minority decision.
No.
I like that better than a majority draw.
No, I don't like it.
I do.
I'm against it. You and I are not on the same page tonight.
Well, all right.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, but I hate that.
All right, well, how about we just get to this round? What's happening in round 2?
Listen, first 2 minutes of this round, Borshev was almost like lighting it up.
He was doing really well.
Very clearly winning this round.
Kind of a continuation of the first round. He was flowing a little bit. A lot of kicks.
But then Sadikov drops him and rocks him bad multiple times. One with a head kick, one with a left hand. Big elbows on the ground.
One opens up the giant cut on the eyebrow, left eyebrow there. I
do think this is a 10-8. Very strong round. He negated everything that Borshev did in the first 2 minutes, and then he had all 3 Ds there. I think
so too. I think those last 3 minutes are a whole lot because there's even he gets back to his feet. It takes him like a little more than a minute to get back to his feet finally, right? Barshov and you think okay maybe he's a little bit out of the woods, but he's really not. He's still kind of taking it. He's still getting hit real hard here. I think we're definitely past the point of this being like even on the fence. I'm looking at a 10-8.
Yeah,
I definitely. I think the damage is. Look, if the damage is the one you need, I think it's the one we've got the most.
Damage.
All things considered, I know it's tough because we do have that early part of the fight where, like you said, Barshov is doing well, but I think you're right. I think it's negated. I think this is an 8. So I'm definitely with you. I'm definitely with Judges Cleary and Lee. Derek Cleary and Chris Lee, for those who, maybe are new to the show or new to fighting. But they were the ones who made sure that we had a draw here, which I think is the right call, ultimately, to make this a draw. I know what you're saying about the majority win, whatever. But
because there was one fighter that won on one card, at least.
Right, but also, you and I don't think that's the right way to go, so we avoided the wrong thing.
I know.
At least in our points of view.
Just talking semantics.
Yeah, it's
also
dumb. I like semantics, but this one's dumb.
But also more of a reason that every single fight should have a overtime clause. So
fair enough. But nonetheless, the one judge, Brian Miner, who gave the 10-9. I disagree. All the respect for Brian Miner, disagree with him on this one. I don't think that was the right call here. But it didn't matter. We got the result that I think was the appropriate one. Your semantics be damned.
Okay.
Yeah. That is it for this fight, though. We have a split decision to talk about here, sir. Not just any split decision, an alternative decision.
Your favorite.
My favorite, the weird ones. Lupe Godinez.
But it wasn't your typical alternative.
No, this decision. Is a strange one, even for alternative decision. You're all right, my friend. Lupe Godinez getting the win over Tabitha Ricci, 229-28, and then a 30-27 the whole other way. That's not usually what we see from the alternative decision. You are right. Every judge takes a turn being the out judge on this fight. We have all 3 rounds are split. It is unnatural, to say the least. So we got to hit all these rounds. Let's start with one.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll point out that this is women's strawweight, so they're more likely to have these types of...
Not a stunner. I can't remember. Do you remember what I called out would be the... I think I said Steve Erceg would be the most likely for contested rounds, and that was not.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So I didn't hit it on this one.
Nail it.
And I also didn't force a finish either, which sometimes that'll be the result. That didn't happen yet. So it's a round one here, yeah.
So for like a minute and a half, we don't really get many connects, if any. I mean, they're throwing a lot of strikes out there.
They're moving. They're throwing.
No one's like actually trying to reach the head. It looks like, honestly. But Godinez eventually lands a nice left, and Ricci answered with one right back, and then Ricci's in on the clinch against the cage. Nothing's really happening here. They separate, and it seems like Godinez starts to, find her range a bit better. Landed a bit more. She drops Ricci briefly. Wasn't a bad dropping. Just, she hit her. She went down. She popped right back up.
Do you think she was off balance there more or like slipped or something like that? Because I couldn't tell if it was like a real drop or what. It didn't look like she was hurt.
No, I think it was. I don't think she was hurt, but I think it was a legit drop.
Oh, okay.
So,
it was not scored as a knockdown, but that doesn't mean
really
anything. No, on the official stats, it doesn't matter because the judges don't need those stats.
I'll have questions about round 2 then.
Fair enough.
I think Godinez is starting to put some distance between them. Looking, starting to look close but clear to me that Godinez is winning this round.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ricci drops her and wobbles her with like 4 seconds left in the round. I think she was hurt more than she hurt Ricci.
Sure.
When she, the knockdown versus not knockdown. I think it was definitely a knockdown.
There are no knockdowns in this fight. Officially, from the UFC stats.
That's ridiculous.
I don't disagree.
Another reason to ignore them.
Well, even the commentators hate the stats.
So like I said, I think she was hurt more when she got dropped than Ricci was hurt when she dropped Ricci.
100%.
I don't think it was that to the extent where it surpassed what Godinez did. Her whole body of work throughout the round. But it does make it very close. I can't complain either way, but my final score is 10-9 Godinez.
I think you assessed a higher grade for the effective offense of Godinez before that landed than I did. I had it a little closer. Yeah. I'm not saying she wasn't up or that I wouldn't have gone that way before that strike lands, but I had it maybe a little bit closer to the point where I thought that was a real good land by Ricci at the end. I really did.
Okay.
So I ended up allowing that to flip the round her way.
All right.
Still close, but I tell you, I mean, Godinez, I don't know what would have happened from there, and you have to cut it off right at that point, right? But she looked maybe not hurt in a bad way, but like
she's wobbly.
She felt it. I think you got to give the greater impact comes from there than anything else. It's the most effective strike.
It was the most effective strike of the round.
We're only talking about the 5-minute period, yeah.
In a round where she didn't land many effective strikes.
But it was a pretty good one.
But I thought Godinez had her fair share of pretty good ones.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think this is perfectly fine to kind of go either way here. I think you can make arguments either way.
Right.
So I ended up siding that way. I sided in the minority here, though, also again with Judge Minor. Judge Minor was the out judge here, but I saw it this way. You saw it the same way as Judges Cleary and Saldamato.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Round 2. What's going on?
Both ladies have seemed to find their range.
Mm-hmm.
This round, both are landing pretty good. I think Loopy's landing more often, more effectively throughout the round. Her shots are more powerful, getting better reactions. Ricci's landing, it seems like one at a time, mostly, not really putting many together, and not with great effect. But she does have a couple that were decent, like, the one head kick towards the second half of the round. But it's towards that final minute where Ricci really starts putting a little power behind her shots. Good lands here. And then in that final 10 seconds, Godinez goes down. It looked to me like it was an off-balancing, this one, after they collided. Possible clash of heads. I'm not so sure I saw a strike land there.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, good for Ricci, who ends up the round on top, landing a couple shots there. She also ate a couple elbows or two from Godinez on the bottom. I do think Godinez won this one in a close one, 10-9.
I do too. I'm with you on this one. I think Godinez takes it. It's competitive for sure, for all the reasons you said. But yeah, I sided with you.
What did you see for that knockdown at the end again? Or what when Godinez goes
I think
down?
it's fair to say, yeah, it's hard to identify what actually is landing to cause that. So it's harder to give that one as much weight. I think that's fair to say. Potentially, judges have different views. This is a fight in particular that I was not watching as closely from my cage side seat until a little later in the fight.
In the back end brownies.
No, there was no brownies tonight.
Oh, that's disappointing.
So it's a total aside from this fight. If you're not familiar, Dan has always been jealous of the fact that at many of the early UFC events that I covered, they would have like a spread and they would have desserts like brownies and things like that. This is not typical. I don't have this anymore. When I go to the Garden, they give me two $20 vouchers for food at the concessions.
$40 in food?
Yep.
Wow.
That goes quick. You can't, by the way, not that I actually am not a drinker, but you cannot spend on alcohol, just so you're aware.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We're here to work.
Sure.
But yeah, so you can spend $40 very quickly and easily.
I bet.
At the concessions. In fact, I think they probably raised the prices of food over time, and the vouchers have not necessarily kept up with that, so you get less than you used to. Not criticizing UFC. It is what it is. They don't need to provide that, but they do. It's welcome for journalists. We are working. We don't really have a choice. Anyway, yeah, no brownies. Sorry.
Okay.
Did get pizza. They brought pizza to the back for the
look at this.
for later on.
This guy gets pizza.
I
New
got
York
pizza.
City, the best pizza in the world.
Tom Aspinall was eating pizza when he walked in. I meant to ask him what he thought. Didn't get to. It was my fault.
He must have been loving it.
Bad job as a journalist. He was enjoying it.
You go to New York, you get pizza.
That's what I tell everybody. Anyway, we both, to get back to this now, get off the food. We both had Godinez. We both saw it the same way as Judge D'Amato, who's the out judge on this one. Judges Cleary and Minor saw it for Ricci. Maybe they saw something from their vantage point on that knockdown.
Yeah, could be.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe there's something we missed. Maybe there's something that looked that way from their angle and it wasn't. And maybe it's the other way. Who knows? That's why we have three people there. But we sided with the out judge. Yeah, what does that mean? For Judge D'Amato. What's that?
Couch side over.
I ruined the cadence. That was my fault.
Yeah, you
I
butchered
know.
that one.
I messed up.
But I mean, maybe that's why we stick them in the back room with no sound.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, don't even give them monitors. Just let them guess what's happening. Yeah. I think that's fair. It's the only way that we can be totally objective here. Not let them see or hear the action.
Exactly.
Got to rely on smell. Do you smell iron?
I smell blood, yeah.
Does it smell like iron? Then someone's bleeding. Just guess who it is. Anyway, neither here nor there. Round 3, man.
Very close round. I think Ricci landed a bit heavier, maybe not as much as Godinez did. Against the cage, she landed a couple solid elbows early in the round. Her kicks to the body were solid this round. Loopy was good too. I thought she was landing some good combos. Very close round, but I do like it for Ricci. Just a tad bit better.
You know, I thought every single round of this fight really Godinez wins on the volume. But it really comes down to, for me, how much more is being landed to higher degrees from Ricci that kind of swayed it. Obviously, round 1, I had it going the other way because of that end sequence. Round 2, I did not because I didn't view it to be the same way. And then round 3, I don't think there's anything that one strike or anything like that, or even several strikes that really put it over for me. I still saw it for Godinez.
Okay.
But that's fine. This is like the exhibit A of like, man, women's strawweight are just, they fight close fights.
Yeah.
They almost always do.
Also, we only agreed on one round.
We did.
Me and you.
We did, and I think that's perfectly fine. We often agree. I think everyone who listens to this show knows that Dan and I very frequently end up on the same side.
And each judge, cage side, or the out judge.
That's right. I pointed that out already.
That's I'm hammering it home.
Sure. No, for sure.
How crazy of a fight it was.
It certainly was that.
Close.
It was a reasonably entertaining fight too. This was action. It was action oriented. It wasn't.
They came to fight.
No one didn't bring the volume or anything like that. I think this was a fight that it was just a close fight. And sometimes that happens. Maybe more commitment on the punches a little bit, on the kicks
Definitely
a little bit. I think that can change things. I think there's a lot of.
They were pulling a few of them.
Yeah. Not all of them though. Hey, there was some good ones landed though. We know that. We talked about it.
Some of them. Oh, maybe I'll pull it back.
No, I think that's probably fair to a point. Not that I could do better, to be perfectly honest.
No, my shoulder would fall out of socket.
Yeah, probably. Or you make someone's shoulder fall out of its socket with an omoplata.
Exactly.
There you go. But yeah, I had it in the minority here. I only saw it the same way as Judge Cleary, who was on his own. You saw it as judges D'Amato and Minor in the majority. But nonetheless, we have our weird. Somehow we got to this alternative decision where there are 29-28 and a 30-27 completely the other way. Which, even though this judge is 2 points off of the others, is only the outjudge one. Very strange. You don't see this very often, but it does happen. That's probably the last thing you need to say about that one.
Yeah.
One more round to go. This is the only one from the main card. Jessica Andrade getting the win over Mackenzie Dern, just brutalizing Mackenzie in round 2.
Yeah.
Beating her left to right. Dern got her chances, by the way, because realistically, I think before that second knockdown, or after that second knockdown, I should say, she realistically was probably done. But leave it to referee Keith Peterson. He's always given too many chances. He's always letting these people fight too often, too late. That is a joke. And I don't mean that to pick on Keith, but to pick on Mr. Dominic Cruz. This time I said the right Dominic, by the way.
You did.
Yeah, I did. Anyway, big finish for Andrade. Snaps a 3-fight losing streak. Round 2 TKO. But they're split on round 1. We got to talk about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really close round.
You did?
To be honest. I don't really know what the commentary was talking about. Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan latched onto one portion of the fight, and just ran with it the entire round. They were saying Dern looks uncomfortable on the feet. She's got her chin straight up in the air. She's not looking very fluid. I didn't see that at all. I thought Dern was doing very well, landing strongly up to the head. Andrade was landing good to the legs. I thought Dern landed harder in the exchanges. Even the one when Dern goes down to a knee, I thought she still won that exchange. I thought her lands were harder. I didn't flip until Andrade dropped her in the final 4 seconds. That's what swayed it for me to Andrade 10-9.
I had it more definitively than you.
I didn't have it anywhere near that.
That's fine. I respect your opinion. I didn't see it that way. I first off, when I'm watching this live, and first off, I'm not scoring it. I'm also not watching it as close as I would have liked. So 2 things to get out of the way on my first watch live in the arena. Watching it again live, or not live, watching it again from home to score. I still think Mackenzie Dern was not getting tagged. It wasn't like totally one-sided for sure. She's in there and she's got power. She does. It's wild and crazy, and sometimes she throws strikes that make no sense in a professional fight, but also sometimes it just works. I just didn't think it worked enough against Andrade in this one. So I saw an Andrade maybe close but clear round.
Okay. Well, I mean, the knockdown makes it sense it that way.
Yeah, I kind of had it close for Andrade, and then that really cemented it for me. I felt really good about it at that point.
Yeah, no, it flipped it to me. It flipped it.
Fair enough. I can respect that. So, we still ended up on the same page in terms of, binary, who'd you give it to? So we had it the same way as Judge Cleary and Dave Torelli, who made the long trek from basically the same place I did.
Honestly, it can be a long trek.
Look, it can.
It can be a very long trek.
You're not wrong. It took me, by the way, about 45 minutes to get from the media center at Madison Square Garden to my front door, which I thought that was not too bad because that involves some walking. I got to go down into the Port Authority bus terminal.
Oh, you took a bus?
Oh, I always take the bus.
Oh, all right.
How would you get in?
Train.
But at any rate, yeah, it was quick. It was quick getting home for me. I appreciated that. Brian Miner had it for Dern. You think it's more reasonable than I do?
Yeah.
I'll defer to you. I think that's fair. If that's what you say, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's it. That was our 5 rounds. We had a lot more finishes than we had rounds. That was good.
I didn't notice that.
8 finishes, 7 KOs or TKOs, mostly TKOs. We had the one clean knockout from Aspinall. 1 submission, like we mentioned earlier. 6 fights ended in the first round. Gotta love that. Gotta love it. It was great. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite of these 8?
Mateus or Matouche. Rounds Besky. I mean, I don't know where you get the O and the U and the N and the S. It's spelled Reebok or Rebecky. Him armbarring Roosevelt Roberts.
I'm terrible with, as has been said on this program before, I'm terrible with Polish pronunciations.
It was a beautiful armbar from the back. It was set up. You know what he did for this fight? He watched Jim Miller versus Roosevelt Roberts. Because Jim finished Roosevelt Roberts with an armbar, a better armbar. And Rounds Becky said, "Let me, use what this man did. I learned from him. Got a nice armbar finish."
I mean, this was a slap together fight in like less than a week, so I think that I don't know how much thought went into it in that way.
Oh, it definitely did.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair enough.
You don't go fight an opponent Jim Miller fought and not watch that fight.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So,
100%. It's the way the sport works.
And if you do, you deserve to lose.
Yeah, no.
If you don't, I mean.
Definitely.
So,
definitely, dude.
For sure.
Yep.
Now, who is your favorite?
I went with Jared Gordon.
Okay.
Weathered the early storm from Marco Madsen. It wasn't like he was in trouble, but he was
Madsen
he was going wild too. He was like really slinging after it. Marco Madsen was, but he gets the TKO thanks to punches in the clinch. I should say. I can't talk. But this happened in the same arena that his grandfather used to box in.
Yeah,
and just above Penn Station, where Gordon freely talked about the fact that he's just shoot dope down there.
Cool.
He is now clean and very much spreads the word about trying to help people who are battling addiction, trying to get their lives better just as he did. But that's a pretty memorable way to win. And, good for him.
Yeah.
He used to walk by the arena and say, maybe, what if, one day, That's cool. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And that was it for UFC 295. It was brought to my attention there was actually a round outside of UFC 295 over the weekend that there was a unanimous 10-8 for. I did not get the chance to watch this, but I hope to at some point during the week because I'm curious what we were looking at.
Okay.
So we can't really get into
unanimous
that.
10-8?
Like that. Unanimous 10-8.
For where?
Have to double check. But anyway, we'll
that's not that rare. Unanimous 10-8?
Yeah, we don't get too many of them. Not anymore.
Unanimous 10-8.
It's like 1 out of 100 rounds, probably more at this point.
All right.
Yeah, doesn't happen very often anymore.
About it than I am.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I kind of was hoping you were misspoken and you heard about it unanimous 10-7.
Dude, we couldn't get agreement on the 8 in this one.
Yeah.
How often does it happen where we get everybody says, yeah, same thing?
I guess. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, we've got a busy weekend coming up, dude. Bellator 301 on Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, main card start. This is, by the way, this is the remaining Bellator card that's just got an official date and stuff attached to it. Ostensibly, there's supposed to be more Bellators, but we don't know any details about them. And there's this looming, maybe we'll find out something in November about what's going on with Bellator's future as it relates to potentially PFL. So I feel like maybe in the next weekish, we might find out something definitively about the future of, let's say, next level down MMA.
Okay.
Because there's A and then there's S tier and then there's more like A, B, right? Look, they have 8 fighters, 100%. Bellator does. Yaroslav Amosov is one of them. Welterweight champion, defending his belt against Jason Jackson.
Yeah, most likely a decision here.
I don't know. He's a violent guy.
Yeah, he hasn't really won many by fame. He has a Doris and a cut and a doctor stoppage in Bellator.
Of late, yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Jason Jackson just doesn't finish.
Well,
so
he could get finished. You never know.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Fair enough.
We're going 25 here.
Do you like this fight, though? The other fight, Sergio Pettis?
Yeah, I'm very excited
against
for that
Patchy Mix.
Yeah.
The unification belt at 135.
Yeah,
I like
down
this fight.
for this one.
I talked to Sergio recently.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to seeing how that fight goes. He has overachieved, I think, since arriving in Bellator. I think every time...
Well, you land one lucky spin back fist and it changes everything, so...
He has actually... look, credit where it's due. I think he's somebody who does better the later the fight goes.
Still doesn't.
Now that he gets to fight in these 5-rounders, it definitely helps him.
That.
Look, it's amazing what happened in that fight because he was definitely going to lose that fight. He was not going to beat Kyoji Horiguchi. And then all of a sudden, boom, he whips that out. Amazing. Incredible.
Sure, but it doesn't bring home. You can't just whip out a rear naked choke.
Sure you can.
You can't just whip out an armbar.
Yeah, you can.
It takes process to get there. Anyone can just swing a fist and luckily they connect.
I saw Mighty Mouse Johnson whip out an armbar once.
He was flexing and styling in that fight.
I know. I'm just saying it can happen.
That's a technique he practices.
Sure.
That still takes more setup than just swinging a fist.
Fair enough.
So,
but you still like this fight.
Oh yeah, I love the fight.
I think it's a great fight.
Yeah. I was just pointing home that there is such thing as lucky knockouts. There's no such thing as a lucky sub. That's what I'm pointing out. Sub grappling is superior to striking.
Fair enough. I don't know why we got on that one.
Because Sergio Pettis brought it up.
Oh, I didn't realize.
And you were saying, he was underachieving, and I was bringing home, he probably wouldn't be in this position. Overachieving. And it's because of basically that one punch.
Sir, this is in Illinois.
Yeah.
The judges here, I imagine, are going to be a little split because, we got UFC the next day. So I wrote down UFC 295 on our little thing. It's actually UFC Vegas 82. But there are other fights I like on the Bellator card. Basically, the whole main card I think is really good. Raufeon Stotts against Danny Sabatello, number 2. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll actually see Sabatello try to add offense this time.
Honestly, I don't think there's no reason this should be another fight.
I think there's a lot of animosity, I think is what it is.
They're live for it. Danny Sabatello's friends were the biggest morons in the arena. Started a brawl afterwards. Clearly lost. I mean, it was no reason that this was a split. This was the Doug Crosby round.
Yes, this is a Doug Crosby fight.
There's no reason. I mean, that was a bad score.
Almost a year later, yeah.
There's just no reason for this fight to happen again. Just stupid. But whatever. Hopefully there's more action this time.
I think it's promotable is all it is. These guys don't like each other, so. And it does seem real. AJ McKee is back. He's fighting Sidney Outlaw, 155 pounds. Always interested when AJ McKee fights. Is
this a Grand Prix match?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Is there still a Grand Prix going on?
I mean, I think they have to do the rematch now of Nurmagomedov and Brent Primus.
Okay.
And that technically would be the Grand Prix match, but I don't think we'll know anything about the future of that until things are more set in stone about the future of Bellator.
Gotcha. So there's no
hook to that fight. No,
gotcha.
It's just it's a fight with AJ McKee and Sidney Outlaw.
Sure.
I like that fight. I think
AJ
it's interesting.
McKee. I don't even know who Sidney Outlaw is.
He's Sidney Outlaw. He's a fighter.
All right.
Patricky Pitbull against Alexander Shabley. Shabley.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, whatever.
Alexander with no E.
Yeah, that's right. There's no E in there.
Well, there's one E, but not at the end.
Not near the end. You're right. Yeah, pretty much the whole main card. There's some interest on the prelims as well. And the Bellator prelims lately, they just roll through them as fast as they can. Fight's over, boom, next.
Kind of not fair because the fighter should get entrance music.
Yes and no. I definitely believe they deserve it, but also when they don't do that and Bellator does what they do, it is very fun.
But Bellator does what they do, and they still end up with post-lims.
It's because they've added a billion fights.
How do you do that?
They just add as many fights as they can.
Just start earlier.
I have no problem with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with post-lims, dude.
No, by then I'm done.
Well, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I will take it. Because you're casual.
Sure.
Effing casual.
When it comes to Bellator, I'll be the biggest casual there is.
Bro, you went and dealt instead of watching those big pay-per-view. Casual.
Well, that is casual behavior. Because John Jones got off the car, and I was like, whatever.
It's casual behavior. But yeah, so obviously like I said, the other UFC card is on Saturday. 5 p.m. main card start. How does that line up with your college football? I think a lot of the big ones are at noon, right?
Noon's usually the biggest, but then they got the night game. But I like a 5 p.m. main card.
Okay,
that's good.
Well, that'll get away before the night games, right?
Oh yeah, like
more or less
7:30 or 8 o'clock it starts. But still doesn't change the fact from September to December there should be no MMA on Saturdays.
Yeah, of course.
Unless it's a pay-per-view. Pay-per-view, I can make an exception for. These fight nights at whatever.
So where would you put the Friday nights?
Yeah, Friday night fights.
Okay, all right. Just curious. The main event for this one, Brendan Allen against Paul Craig. 185 pounds. You like this fight?
I do. Good fight.
And it's a solid fight. So, look, this is like your average Apex main event. Two, let's say, bottom of the top 10, top 15 range middleweights. That's like strictly average as far as a UFC Apex main event.
All right.
I think that's fair. But I actually like this one. I'm always interested in Paul Craig fights. Maybe it's because my grandmother's from Scotland, so I've got a little pride there.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, why not?
This is, of course, in Nevada. I'm sure we'll have some of the judges who did not go to Illinois, and maybe some of them did. I don't know. They don't have the same rules as California, so maybe a couple of them will take some red eyes. Not Illinois to Nevada is not as far as Mohegan to Nevada.
No, that's a little further. I was trying to do the picture in my head.
Oh, it's much different. We're talking about the Midwest as opposed to the East Coast.
It's
much
probably,
different.
I bet it's like an hour difference in flight time.
Could be. Depends on the
hour.
tailwind and the headwind and all that, right?
Yeah, right. Coming back from Nevada, we got home much quicker. It was like a 3.5 hour flight from Nevada to New Jersey. Like they said the flight time was 3 hours and 40-something minutes. I was like,
that's pretty good.
That's very fast.
Yeah.
I was expecting 6.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Any other fights you wanted to see?
A bunch. I think this card is pretty good, top to bottom.
I was less impressed with it. I mean, it's fine. It's not like it's a bad card.
I mean, I think Jordan Lev and Chase Hooper should be pretty good. Amanda Hebas and Luana Pinheiro.
The only one that really jumped out at me was Michael Morales and Jake Matthews.
That's a very. Well, I was leaving that one to you to bring up.
That was the only one, like I said. So.
There's a lot of hype behind Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he lost his last fight, right?
Oh, CLD, that's right.
Yeah, he lost to Armin Petrosian by decision.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very highly touted, I guess.
Highly touted, sure.
Highly touted.
That's a thing.
Is a thing.
It is.
We'll see. Another Jim Miller. Lost by
former
knockout.
Opponent, yeah.
Yeah,
former victim.
Yeah, getting knocked out.
Sure.
Nicholas Moda. So I'd like to see how that goes. And Chad Anhelinger. He's had some wild ones, I think, in there.
Is it Anhelinger or Anheliger?
Anhelinger. I
don't know. We're just gonna make up different pronunciations.
Just gonna keep going with it. Is there? You got another fight out there?
I don't know. These fights are fine. None of them jumped out at me in the same way that a lot of these jumped out at you. I would just say that the contested rounds candidate that I'll highlight is Lucia Pudilova, and I always forget how to say it. Aileen Perez.
Aileen.
Okay, fair enough. She's
Aileen without the G.
If I recall, she's the one who was like twerking last time, like uncontrollably, like just couldn't stop it.
So her and Jordan Levitt, if they both win, we can judge who had the better twerk off.
Oh my gosh, they should totally have a dance off.
They definitely should.
That's at the end of the card. This will be the post slim. One's in one corner, the other's in the other, and the judge is going to sit around, and they're going to score 10-9 or 10-8 or 10-7 for which fighter had the best working.
Yeah, who was
I think
more
that's
effective?
the way to do it. Yep, it has to be most effective. What does that even mean?
Crowd reaction.
Fair enough, but they're judges. They're no. They're not basing on the crowd. No. We need to.
Oh, we gotta come up with a criteria.
Yeah. We're not gonna do it in this time though. We're gonna wrap up.
Okay, that does it for this one.
Yeah, we can workshop the criteria on the twerking off later.
Yeah, we'll be back Monday for these fights.
Yes, we will, and the twerking.
Can't forget about the twerking.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Take care.